The thing that I found very interesting as I grew older with Christianity, or at least the Christians around me, they were so hell-bent on telling me how everyone else was bad instead of telling me what made them good. So I write Rasta, and then they were like, haha, now you're going to hell.
Oh my God.
Because the church they were going to, even knowing how to write the word Rasta, made you a sinner.
Oh my gosh. That is terrible.
I cried.
Hello, my name is Muthoni Gitau. Welcome to another episode of Just Doing Life, the podcast, a space where we explore all the parts of life that we do not like to say out loud. After all, we are all just winging it.
Welcome to episode 9, and this episode is very special because 9 is
my number, my favorite number.
Yes.
And life path number as well. So
it's so
we'll talk about that.
It is so perfect.
It is. Absolutely.
I am joined by the amazing Zikki, Valentine Zikki. Valentine Zikki is 1,010 things when it comes to being a creative. She's a writer. She's a musician. She's like an overall artist. She is a mother. She's a podcaster. She is an entrepreneur. She's an events curator. And she's my friend.
Yay!
I know cool peoples.
Yes,
I have cool friends.
Absolutely. And you're cool too, so hey.
Of course, because cool people hang out with other cool people.
Yeah, same vibes, Dana. Same vibes.
And Jojo has decided
you're aiming for my cinnamon roll.
Jojo has come for free rubs.
Nakuona.
Today we are joined by Zikki, and we are going to be talking about spirituality and all that jazz. Because
hey, can come more? Yeah.
That's coming up in a few, but for now, there's this thing we do on this podcast where we have to share a moment of joy from the previous week.
Yes.
So you have to tell us something that was a moment of joy for you this past week.
A moment of joy this past week would be I restarted therapy.
Oh
yes, I had discontinued because I felt like there was a lot going on in my life at that point in time, and I got what I needed out of it. It was cathartic, it was freeing, and I had a great day after that. And I think even after, following that session, I've been able to cope with a lot of changes in my life. So I'm really joyful about that. And then I'm always grateful for my children. They're happy, they're healthy, they're so beautiful.
Yes, they are.
I am proud of them.
Yes. Oh, that's cool. I love that. Oh, therapy is self-care.
It is self-care.
Yeah.
I ran away from that because I think for a moment there I abandoned myself. Instead of setting aside all of these elements in my life that I really should have abandoned.
Yeah.
I abandoned
yourself
myself
and stayed within the elements.
Yeah.
I get you.
That was draining. So this past week, and then I went out dancing for a concert. Winyo, who is like that name, I think means songbird, had a fantastic gig Saturday night. So that has been one of the few Saturday nights I've gone out this year, and it was well worth it.
I love that.
Yes.
For me, my moment of joy was I did an ice cream solo date.
Oh,
yes,
nice.
I went for a solo date, and I just wanted ice cream. Makio, this is someone who, like, Homa has been creeping up on me, like, trying really hard. I love me, I'm combating it. I'm like, you want to go where? Here's a pit park. Stay away from me. But then on Sunday, it was sunny and I was going for an event. So I decided to leave the house early and go for my date. And then the other thing that happened is I've gotten back to my writing.
Oh,
it has been like 7 years.
Yes.
Yeah, I had, again, the abandoning yourself thing.
Yes.
Similar thing for me because I stopped writing because all my writing was coming from a point of pain. And I really got tired about my pain, and I wanted to write about my joy.
Yes.
And I wanted to write about joyous things.
Yes.
And when I started this podcast, one of the things that I really wanted to focus on was the joy in women.
Yes.
Women experiencing joy.
Oh, because the opposite has been...
I know, right?
Has been so done.
So I've been looking for writings, I've been looking for books, and imagine there are not that many that exemplify the joy of women that just...
And then black women in particular.
And then
we're just going to say
black women. So then like it's something that has really been sitting with me for a while. And I was like, what if I'm being called to be the one to write those stories?
Yes.
Because I'm like, I am a writer.
Yeah.
What if I am the one who's meant to write this story?
Yes.
And
that's
literally, funny enough, after we had our phone call, because I'd been thinking of like, I want to write short stories, go back to writing my poetry, and then like my articles on the blog. That story I was telling, I was like, let me write it as like half fiction, half true.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
So you'll have to wait when it drops on my blog to read it, but trust me, it's like a juicy...
It actually makes it very...
yeah, but like even writing it, I've been having so much fun. Like I'm writing and reading and writing as I read it, and I'm just like, oh my God. And then I'm like, oh my God, we're at like 1,000 words. Okay, we're going.
Yeah.
And then I was like, how long is a short story? Because
it's as long as you want it to be, and you'll still say it's your short story. Why not?
Exactly. So now I feel like writing about African women's joy is like the next phase of what my writing is going to be about, and I'm really excited about that. So
congratulations.
Yeah, the website is muthonigitau.com. It's currently under construction, but it's going to be dropping very, very soon. So you can be on the lookout for that to see and read that story, because I promise you it's a really nice story. I think, okay, I am biased.
I actually trust what you're saying, because whatever you do is, we've seen, you've exemplified that excellence, so I trust that it's a good story.
Thank you so much.
I look forward to it.
Yay! So now, as we are getting into our episode, please remember to follow us on social media. You can follow the podcast at JDL, the podcast, on Instagram and TikTok, and also YouTube. It's Just Doing Life. And you can also follow Valentine Zikki on...
Valentine Zikki on all platforms. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. And then there's Heal and Chill, which is my event company. There's Heal and Chill KE on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
Yes. Yay. So today's conversation is going to focus on spirituality, and our plan is to touch on spirituality, a bit of religion, the religion that we grew up with mostly, and old age spirituality, or what we think that was, because also we both happen to be Kikuyus. For those who do not know, Kikuyu is a tribe in Kenya, and we might be able to touch. We are familiar with.
It's not out of anything else.
Yes, just familiarity, and then we can also just talk about our journeys and who we are now in that space, I guess, when it comes to that part of our lives.
Yes.
Do you know anything about like old traditional Kikuyu spirituality thingies, like religion, before the colonizers came with the Bible?
Well, yes, before we were colonized. What I knew for the most part was what we were taught in primary school, that there was a Kikuyu god, and there was a Kikuyu. Actually, it was more or less explained as if they were parents.
Yes,
you know.
Gikoyo na Mobi.
Yes, Gikoyo na Mobi. So Gikoyo came from sijui heavens, alafu Mobi also came from the heavens.
Yeah.
And then they had 9 children, although
9 daughters.
9 daughters.
Yes.
They were later told you're not supposed to count children in Kikuyu. You don't count. So apparently they might have been 10.
Oh, I did not know this part.
Yes. And you're not supposed to. It's not considered to be good luck, maybe.
Like when someone goes like, I have 3 children.
Yeah.
It's like, no, don't.
Just
don't. Say I have children.
I have children.
I did not know
you
that.
You can have as many anyway. And because you are supposed to be fertile and fruitful, and there's no end to how your maker can bless you. Should you choose to be in that path, right?
Yeah. I didn't know that, but okay.
Yes. So that's basically what I knew. And then we're taught about Murungu. There were different communities.
In school.
It felt like a fantasy, like something we should not indulge in. Always the traditional or ancient beliefs were they were posed as something negative, something that you should not interact with because it is in the past, it is gone. And quite frankly, they were represented as something that was, I'm looking for that word, like not illiterate, but something that was... the word keeps
uncivilized.
Uncivilized.
Because there's another word that's used.
Primitive.
Yes.
That's the word. I'm looking for it.
Primitive.
Like, it was for those primitive locals.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. So that was the perspective I also viewed those beliefs in, because it was not supposed to be for me. What was for me was what I was taught and what I was raised in, and there was no debate about that. So that's what I followed.
I think for me, I have a very similar story, because I didn't know anything about how Kikuyus used to worship.
Yeah.
It's something that I have started doing a bit of research on. I was like, do they have ceremonies? Because away from, I think the ceremonies that get a lot of attention, especially these days, are the ones around marriage.
Yes.
But then, and of course, there's the circumcision ones, because those ones are still ongoing.
Yeah.
But there were other ceremonies, like those ceremonies, they had rain ceremonies to pray for rain.
Yeah.
And I was curious. I was like, so how would they do it? Where would they go? So I just started asking around. And the ones that I remember, it's the same as you. From primary school, we used to pray facing Mount Kenya, which was called Kirinyaga at the time, which I discovered randomly. The name Kenya came from Mount Kenya.
Yes.
So Kenya was named because of the mountain. The mountain wasn't named because of the country.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was from the Kambas, because the interpretation of Kirinyaga was something something Kenya. It has there's another word I forgot.
Yeah.
And then now when people would say Kenya,
which was from the Kambas.
Yeah. So the word Kenya was like an iteration of the word that the Kambas used to use for the mountain.
Yeah.
That almost sounded like Kenya. Because it was also, the way it was written was like Kinyyaa. That's one of the writings.
Yeah.
There's another one that was just Kinya.
And if I'm not wrong, that could also be Kikuyu. In the sense that there's a word for it. There's an item that's known as Kenya. Yeah. I'm not very sure if that's the same way that it's written. And Kenya would be a god.
Yes.
Like,
No, so for them, it was the interpretation of Kirinyaga. So the name that the Kambas used for the mountain,
that is how the
Kenya thingy.
Yes.
But now the Kikuyus, I know, it was so interesting
for that.
Right?
That is major.
Hey, so I was just like, I was so shocked when I found out about that. I was like, why was this not included in the books? Because I randomly just wanted to find out.
As a country.
I was like, where did Kenya get its name? Because I was like, I don't think there was a white man who just went like, Kenya. As in,
Kenya.
Even what? Where would they get the idea for that name, the word itself? Exactly. So I was just like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So all I know was that, and then we learned about the Mogumo tree and its importance and symbolism in Kikuyu culture.
Yes.
But when it comes to like how they used to worship, if they were spiritual beings like that, or how they interacted with the gods, all I know was the facing the mountain, and once in a while the sacrifices they would make, where the reason, like when people say tunakula mbuzi in Kikuyu culture, it's actually a sheep, not a nini, and it stems from back in the day.
Yes.
And it had to be spotless. It couldn't have a single speck of a different color. It had to be one color from head to shove.
To
hoof. To hooves. I said
no one said toes. Yes.
Yeah. So it had to be not a single speck, not even like a dot.
No blemish.
Yeah, because the moment it has a blemish, then it can't be sacrificed to the gods.
Yes.
And then the
very
other thing,
similar to Judaic traditions as well, when they're doing sacrifices. Oh
yes, because with the mountains, and then they having to actually go up the mountain to make the sacrifices and such. And that's about it. Because then I know, of course, after the white man came, shoved his Bible down our throats, and then right now I feel like there's a lot of there's someone who said it so nicely, and I was like, it makes so much sense. It's called the Christianization of Kikuyus.
Yes.
So it's like even like with a lot of traditions, people no longer do them, despite the fact that, because the other thing I learned is Kikuyus believe in curses. So despite knowing that a curse would fall upon you if you didn't do a certain ceremony that you're required to do, people are like, but we did it in the church, so we're fine. We're protected, we're safe.
We're good,
Yes.
Yeah.
But now, apparently, there's people who still have to come around later and do them because they're like, things are happening and the only thing we can attribute it to is this one thing that we feel wasn't done and should be done.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, that's interesting, because that's also how I learned that Kikuyus believe in curses. I didn't know that part. Because, people will throw the utalaniwa once in a while.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was that strong. I didn't know it had like such a keyhold on the...
No
so I was
how
like,
modern we are.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's all I know. But I'm still learning.
Yes.
I'm still very curious.
Yes.
And I'm learning for the sake of having the information, just knowing.
Yes.
It's just coming from a curiosity point. Not that, because I'm also curious as to why certain practices stopped.
Yes.
Did they just stop because people became Christians? Are people still practicing some of those things? Like, because remember when guys were fighting and they would go in the forest and the way they would chant, Gai, Gai. And it's like, so such things, like, what did they mean?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, our God was called Gai.
Yes.
So in Kikuyu, Gai means God.
Yes. And there was no devil.
In Kikuyu?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Things you learn. Like,
The devil came with the Bible.
The devil came with a colonialist who decided to turn around the name of Goma into Satan, whereas Goma means ancestors. Right?
And you know what?
Yes.
Do you know what? It is so in line with how they move.
Imagine.
It is so because
yes.
I feel like even now, because there are people who still try and stay in touch with the cultural, spiritual aspects of their traditions and their tribes.
Yeah.
We've seen like people in Nigeria creating altars for Oshun and the people their ancestors, and because there's different tribes that believe in having altars, or for them they believe their gods are the people who passed on before them.
Yes.
And when you see Africans talking about it, it's like, this is witchcraft.
Yeah, it's true.
It is branded as witchcraft.
It is easily branded because there's according to most traditional beliefs or spirituality, their deities have a hierarchy. Like there's the creator overall, but then there's this deity for a specific purpose who you approach to sort of advocate for you or to help you sort certain issues. And if that is,
that's like their stronghold.
That is their stronghold. If they're unable, then there'll be another deity.
You move on.
And you keep moving up, or you get assistance from some of your oracles or seers.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so interesting now that we can shift into now growing up in a Christian household, because I grew up in a Christian household.
Me too.
And it was one of those where like no one asked me or anything. It was just like, you're born, you get to a certain age, the moment you can walk around, you enter Sunday school.
Yes.
And then now every Sunday, Sunday school starts at 8 a.m. So by 8 a.m. I have to be in church.
Yeah.
And it becomes like a tradition.
Yes.
And then for me, I went to church and then went to high school. So the first church I went to was like, was a deliverance church. It was deliverance. But
Anyway,
my guka, my shosho, like our family on my mom's side of the family, they were all Anglicans.
Yeah.
And then my dad's side of the family was very Catholic.
Yes.
But the reason we ended up like going to deliverance at that point was the closest Anglican church at that time wasn't like that close to us.
Yeah.
The deliverance church was close enough for us to go on our own. So me and my sister.
Yeah.
But my mom was still going to Anglican.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, if I'm not wrong, because they also had like a Kikuyu service, so she'd go for the Kikuyu service.
Yeah, so you did that too?
Yes. and then my dad
TV.
never used to go. My dad was like, my church is on TV.
Yes.
My dad was like, I'll watch
online
Pastor Lai. Online pastors have always been my dad's thing.
Yeah.
So he wasn't like much of a churchgoer. So for me, I think seeing him not going to church was like, oh, so it doesn't have to be a must. It's not like a must. But he made sure as we went.
Yeah.
So that's how it was at our house. How was it at yours?
I would say pretty much the same thing. There are those times when we would go to the nearest church, which would be, I do not remember. I just remember it was Protestant.
Yeah.
It was the one in the neighborhood. And then sometimes because the house help would go to the Catholic church, would go there. So I just followed. And then there were those days when we would go to my shosho's church, which is... it's still actually there, which was at that point in time near my grandparents' home. So we'd go there and then go lunch. For lunch at my grandparents' home. And it was in Kikuyu. And I slept through. I just slept through it. Yeah. Because you get there, you're like, hey, French, bana, alafu. It was boring.
Yeah,
like,
that as well.
Yeah.
Because it's also with older people.
Yeah, it's older people. And then maybe the stuff you'll actually grasp has to do with damnation. And, just the
they
message.
preached a lot about it's like the thing that I found very interesting as I grew older with Christianity, or at least the Christians around me.
Yes.
They were so hell-bent on telling me how everyone else was bad.
Yes.
Instead of telling me what made them good.
Yes.
And I just never understood it. I'm like, it's like if you're trying to get... I'm like, if you're trying to tell me to buy your avocado, don't tell me, ona ya ule ni ya black. Ona ya ule ni ya... No, just tell me, mine is buttery.
Yes.
It is ukikata ndani, group of schools type of avocado. Ukitoa it's called the pit. Inatoka nywea.
Yes.
You can use it on bread.
Yes.
You can eat it on its own.
Yes.
Kuna watu wanaekanga sukari. Others put salt.
Unaweza paka kwa uso.
Unaweza eka kwa nywele. So you see, for me,
sell it.
You're telling me all the things that make your side good.
Yes.
You're telling me, come over here because when you're over here, this is what you get.
Yes.
Versus, don't go there.
Yes.
If you go there,
because that is the one way you make there so attractive. Because
now I'm curious.
I am sure because I've been
this day I'm always being told about. Let's go find out.
Yes, because it is in our nature to rebel. Yes. And you're not rebelling out of what? Out of boredom. You're curious.
Yes.
Everybody is curious.
It's like when you're told don't touch.
Yes.
And you're like, Connie, what will happen?
What will happen if I touch?
And then you're like, maybe you're just exaggerating. Let me touch and find out.
Yes. F around and find out. Type of thing.
Right? Because now imagine also as a child, when that's how information is being given to you.
Yes.
As a child, you're curious.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay.
And you'll sense it. You'll sense that this person is either giving you a half-truth or there's just something underneath that's not being said.
Yes.
So that sticks with you. It's what is unsaid that sticks with you.
Yes.
Yes.
I remember there's this one time in school when someone tried to get me in a gotcha. Okay, I always have such random stories. Anyway, so randomly, it's after we've done this whole ceremony in church where now we're saved children of Christ.
Yes.
We got to, what's the word? We got saved to Kaombewa.
Yes.
Now we are born again and everything in between.
Yeah.
And then now I go back to school on Monday.
Yeah.
And now I've told my friends in the morning, I'm like, no, I'm saved and I won't go to hell. And I remember, I think Sija was in class 3 or class 4.
144,000.
I am one. We will be milk and honey, in our white robes and
be
singing
raptured
for eternity.
And
then when we're doing that, one of my friends just tells me how it's like, how do you write the word Rasta?
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So first I had Dasta, so I wrote Dasta because they were whispering. I'm like, oh, Dasta.
Yeah.
This is the spelling.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, Rasta. So I write Rasta.
Yeah.
And then they were like, haha, now you're going to hell.
Oh my gosh.
Because the church they were going to, even knowing how to write the word Rasta, made you a sinner.
Oh my gosh. That is terrible.
I cried. After I have been prayed for, alafu you're the one who's asked me, alafu now because of you, I am going to go burn forever.
Yes.
Because like you take everything at face value.
Yes, you
I've been told
if
you do this, if you sin, you are going to burn forever.
Yes.
I don't want to burn.
And you're not good enough.
Yo, even like I didn't talk to them the whole day because now you've caused me to go to hell.
Yeah.
We used to walk home together. I didn't walk with them.
Yeah.
And then I went because one of them was was neighbors with my aunt.
Yeah.
I passed by my aunt, and my aunt is like, "Why are your eyes so red?" I'm like, "Sina, I'm going to hell." Ati why? Ati si niliandika jina Rasta.
Oh, did she laugh?
She did.
No, I can't.
Because now I was like, no. Because I remember one of my friends her name was Lucy, and then the other one was called Regina.
Yeah.
And again, it was just like that. It's a random thing.
Yes.
So now I was like, kina Regina walisema juu niliandika. Now I'm going to. So now I'm just like, now I am doomed. I don't know what to do.
What the hell?
And my aunt is like, no. Sasa kenye utafanya, you just go pray and tell God sorry that you wrote the word. Because now you see, it's something I really believe in.
Yes.
I was like, no, if you just tell God sorry,
you'll be fine.
He will forgive you and you won't go to hell.
Yeah.
As long as you don't, I was like, hey,
Yeah.
I went home.
Yes.
I prayed and asked for forgiveness for knowing how to write.
Rasta.
Like that was the weirdest thing. Knowing the spelling of a word.
And that is enough to get you into hell.
Yes.
Forever and ever.
For eternity.
Damnation.
Imagine. I was just like, it was so sad.
Yeah.
So for me, I think the approach that Christianity was taught to me, the approach they used to teach me, left a lot of questions. And so when I went to high school, it was a Catholic school. So they weren't that strict because as we were like, you'd just be like, I'm not Catholic. Like, tunakuja mass because we are supposed to, not because I want to be here. You know. So when guys, that's the time I learned Catholic stand like so many times. It's like you stand, you sit, you kneel, you stand, you sit. I was like, this is too much. Imagine your first mass. Form 1, alafu guys are standing, you're like, tunasimama.
Okay.
Guys are sitting. You think you're sitting, people are kneeling. You're like, but you don't know what's happening. Because again, no one has communicated what's happening.
Yes.
So I was just like, okay. Then when I'd come back home for holidays, we used to have, so at that point I was already now going to the Anglican church because now we were old enough to walk on our own. Because it was unapita barabara, it was like a distance. So now we had like a church group where we even had like our own nini called VC. We were called Victorious Comrades. So it was like, guys, so in the morning we'd come for the English service, which was at 8. Then it ends at 10. When it ends at 10, we go from 10 to 1, we'd have our own session where we do, it's like a Bible study type of thing. So there I made a lot of friends. They became like my second family because we used to hang out together because they're the people you hang out with the most when you're not in school. We started this thing where after that 1 p.m. instead of going home, we'd go to someone's home, we cook lunch, so we'll buy food, hatukuji kula zenye tutakuja tununue chakula, we come cook for ourselves, we eat, tuchape stories, we watch a movie, and then at like 6 we go home.
You go.
So now after that, so that's now still in high school. After high school, now we would still hang out, but now the hangout started on Saturdays. But now after Saturday evening, it's like, let's get our vodka booty.
So kuna story ya kanisa.
Kesho tukienda church tutaomba tusamehewe.
Forgiven.
Tukunywe leo jioni. So
you will confess your sins.
So that was like now the same thing. But now even with that, again, the damnation thing, a lot of the sermons were about do better, be better, so that you don't go to hell.
They were supposed to elicit shame and guilt. So the way for us to contact this God or to be in touch with this deity was because we are feeling ashamed. First, you've been told you've been born into sin, and you have to spend every waking moment
making up for
it and avoiding it. So my question used to be, we are human. We're already the way we are. So if I was born into sin, wasn't that in God's purpose already? Like,
because why throw me into it from day one?
Into sin. I would have been born into, this clean slate, mini.
Angel
in fact, I would have been an angel because what is this? What is this? Really? I would have elected to be an angel so that I could just judge your humans.
It's like,
this human experience is not what we were told. Anyway, we'll get to that. But it's that fear, shame, guilt, and unfortunately, it starts from when you're very young. I remember attending services within the school compound. There was a teacher who was known to be very powerful, like very in touch with God. Like she could see visions. She would tell us, sijui kuna hii vision ya UN ilionekana flag ikikatika katikati. Like it would be part of the end time 666. So it was very mysterious. And I loved that.
End time.
And it was an end time. This used to fascinate me.
Remember there's a time where we wouldn't get to year 2000?
Yes. There was just so much.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I felt like I needed somewhere to run from whatever was traumatizing me as a child.
Yeah.
And I felt being a Christian would clean that stuff up and make me worthy.
Oh, wow.
And I really relied on that. Despite the fact that I had my doubts. Like I would go out, look at the sky, the stars, and then I would ask myself, now, who is... apart from God.
Who else is there?
Yeah, who else is there? Like, okay, I know at home my mom is in charge.
Yeah.
Alafu there's now the greater community. There are teachers, policemen, politicians, presidents. And then, there's God overall, right?
Yeah.
But then, nani ndio God
Nani
or God?
Oh, who's the child?
No.
That's a very good question.
Then I would ask, and then I would feel very overwhelmed in those moments. And I'd be like, okay, let me just go on and believe in what I'm believing.
Yeah.
And then in my teenagehood, there came the opportunity to get confirmed because I'd seen my sisters confirmed. And it was a ceremony. You're dressed in white. Then they did kwanza Kikuyu classes.
Okay. For those who do not understand what confirmed means, it is when you are now approved to drink the divai and the sacrament in the church.
Yes.
But yeah, that's what being confirmed means.
Yes. So it looked like this very big girl, like now you graduate.
Yes.
And I was so fascinated by that when my sisters were doing it. But now when it came to my turn, nikajuliza, why? Confirmed into what? For what reason? Then I asked one of my big sisters.
Yeah.
Akaniambia, we shauri yako, we kata kukonfirmiwa, unajua ukizikwa. Kama uja konfirmiwa watu wanaweza kuja wanini wakutoe huko sijui watoe hizo nini kwa grade. I was like, what? No one is doing that to me. Ebu kesho na hizo classes. Kesho. That's what inspired me. Yes. That's what she told me. Jackie. That's what inspired me.
Yeah.
Because I did not see
they shocked you into it.
Yes. And I accepted. I think nearly try to study of it to me. I cannot tell you what.
Even I can't remember. I cannot remember. I don't even remember how long we took those classes for.
Yes.
But I know we were taking it was annoying because Kwanza asked we had to go to a different church. Like the classes weren't happening in our church.
Yeah.
The church they were happening in was like far.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I have to go. I was like, because I was one of the people who was confirmed way later. I was confirmed after like high school. My sister got confirmed before me because I just didn't care because I was just there.
That was the point.
Because I didn't understand it. I didn't know what it was about. Yeah. So my sister had been confirmed. Then I was told, you can join the next class. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't know what it meant, what it was for.
Yeah.
I just saw, that means now I get to start drinking the wine of the church. Okay.
And then now you feel included in a process. Like you're part of something.
Yeah.
Which is okay. I mean, that's part of the human experience.
Yes.
But to be honest, for me, it just felt like I'd just gone through another process. The only thing I can remember is that there was a boy that I met. And we used to struggle through
together
remembering, right? So there was inspiration.
We were the same. We were supposed to cram.
That's the thing.
Yes.
And he was my age. There was no one else who was my age. The other ones were younger. So we were sort of the grown kids, and we have to go through this.
So we shared the experience. Even me, I was like one of the older people.
Yeah.
Because everyone was like, because they used to do it when these kids were like 10, 12.
Yeah.
So now you are there.
I was 14 or
I think I was 16 or 8. Probably
and
very close to 18.
Old.
Because it was cool that I was short because when I'm among them, we all just look tiny.
Yeah.
But now it's like me, I still have to go. I'm like in high school. Everyone is like, what do you mean?
I have a life.
So it was so weird.
Yes.
But I cannot remember a single thing from those classes. I don't remember any of those things we were supposed to be reciting.
Yes.
Alafu there was alafu now. And then now once you're confirmed, it's like now on Sunday when they are it's like giving the whatever, people would be like, I never understood what people are doing. I guess I just didn't care much. in those classes, because I guess maybe we were told what it was about. Because guys would pray, then you stand up in a line, you start with the body of Christ, and then like the reverend, whoever is in charge, would give you, because there'd be two of them, one feeding you the body, and the one giving you the blood. So it's like the body of Christ, and then people would say something. Man, never knew what people were saying. So I'd be like,
you're also muttering because you're like, okay,
because they're not hearing.
Yes.
I don't know what you're saying. So it's like, hey, we can easily say I'm speaking in tongues.
Okay?
And then you're given the blood, and then people would go and kneel.
Yes.
And I was just over there.
Yes.
So me, I'd be over there thinking, hey, that wine is Kali. Like, like, did it have to be so bitter? Like, they don't have sweeter
and then
wines.
you start taking it because you want to be cool.
Yes.
Because it's supposed to be. Was it alcoholic?
I think so.
Right?
I think it was.
I don't. It was. So
because they
like,
were like,
it's
it's literally a
from
shot,
that.
so it can't be.
Yeah.
So me, I was like, you are feeding us alcohol as children.
How now?
But then you should find out if it's alcoholic. I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm also.
I am so curious.
I'm also curious.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as we find out.
Yeah.
Are you a practicing Christian right now? I think that's the word, practicing. It's called practicing now.
Yes, practicing. I would say at the moment I'm in a dilemma where to classify those experiences in, because moving on, I decided to explore more. And once you start exploring spirituality, and especially when you're doing it via technology, it's a rabbit hole. And I went through a rabbit hole for the longest time.
Yeah.
And I found that despite all of these experiences, there's still shreds of that past Christian experience that is with me, and I believe will always be with me.
Yeah.
And I have a dilemma where to classify it, you know? Like if I get shocked right now or something happens, trust me, I'll say Jesus.
Yes.
That's the first thing I'll say. I'll say Jesus. I'll have the inclination to pray the way I've always prayed.
It's like you revert to
exactly
because it's also what you've done that for the longest part of your life
for the
anyway.
longest part. Exactly. That said, I'm not averse to exploring spirituality. And of course, it comes with caution, because we've always been told anything outside Christianity, or say if you've grown up in a certain religion, if you're
anything
told
outside that,
yes, it is demonic, it is witchcraft,
it is the wrong way to go.
You will go to hell.
It is the direct path to hell.
There enough warnings. But me names or warnings because I literally even had a dream. I was even talking about this with my sister Jackie again, and I was talking about what led me to explore Kikuyu spirituality.
I
had a dream. We'd gone back to a place that looked like my grandparents' home, and there were children and I think adults going to church. It seemed like a Sunday morning. Everyone was going to church. And then I decided, I'm going in another direction. And I remember specifically telling my dad about it. I was like, I would love to explore more about Kikuyu spirituality. And that somehow just opened a door towards that, because interestingly, not long after that, I met a friend who was also on the same path. And it helped to answer questions you had. Those questions I had. And, it's still a journey. It's not a destination. Like once you get there, Apo Sasa, it's a different conversation. But it led me to be more open to the idea that there's more outside what I've always grown up knowing.
That makes sense. I get you.
Yeah.
For me, I am definitely not a practicing Christian.
Yes.
I find myself in church for two things.
Yes.
Someone is dead, or someone's getting married. Those are the two occasions in which I find myself in a church. How I think for me, the reason I stopped practicing was because I had so many questions, and whenever I would bring up these questions, the answer was always, we don't question.
That's the thing, it's so annoying.
Yes, so I was like, I'm just seeking to understand why, because I want to have reasons as to why. All these other things, you ask why, and there's a reason. But with this one thing, anytime you would question, people would be like, oh no, we don't question God. But for me, I was like, I'm not questioning God. I'm questioning what we're doing. Why are we doing it? What's the purpose? And then now when you start looking into now those small things where you're like, so you want to tell me that there are these people who are not Christians, who are doing God's work. Let's call it what it is. And you want to tell me just because they didn't pray to the same God as you? Because for me, I was just like, is it that it's like everyone prays to the same God? We just call him by different names. Or her. I don't think God would be a man.
That's a thing, right?
Again, in the questioning. But like it's like they're referred to by a different name. Depending on where you grew up or the beliefs that you have. But it's the same
entity,
creator being. So that's how I was looking at it. It's like, no, they have their God as we have our God, and our God is the better God. And our God is the goodest God of all gods. And you're just like, how do we know? Because there's this question that people ask, and I find it so fascinating. It's like, what if, have you ever just for 1 second thought, what if I'm the one who's wrong? What if my God is not the God? Or what if we are all wrong? Because there's also that. Because everything we have has come from information from those who came before us. So it's not like God sat down with Muthoni and said, Muthoni,
although we've been convinced that
he sat down. He sat down with a couple of people.
That's the premise of the Bible, right?
And then
I'm not criticizing.
Just like the rest of you are not worthy.
Those were the stories that were compiled. And it's true because those were the people who spoke directly to God. And that's what we've always been
told. And then now when you start questioning, it's like, why is it like when you question things about even like the scripture itself? Because for me, I was just like, hey, these women, where are the books written by women? There's so few. It's like, and then even like in those stories, they seem to just glorify men and tell women to, and it's like, okay, where are the women who said, me, I'm not looking for a husband, I don't want to be submissive, I don't want to.
There's different versions of the Bible. There's the Catholic one, which includes many more stories of women, and then the Protestant one.
Alafu, there's also, you hear there's books that were removed. I'm like, okay, who approved?
Who removed them?
Which books? And then you're told, we do not question. So for me, I was like, okay, why would I want to stay in a space where you're not encouraging my curiosity, and then because you're so sure on this belief, it should be a very simple question,
and you're not even open to resolving.
Because then for me, I'm just like, if all I need is a simple answer of like, oh, these men were certified because they are the printers of the Bible and they wanted less pages. It's a valid answer.
It's a valid answer,
You know,
I mean, I wish they'd gone with that.
Or there was a consensus and people said these are the least read chapters or the least read books. So they decided to remove them. Or they talked about practices that didn't work with the times. So for me, that's an answer. But you can't be like, no, we don't question. I'm like, clearly we do because I am questioning.
True.
So that's how I started like slowly just walking away, because now I felt off whenever I'm there. And then like the scriptures that would be read, and then you're like, ngoja, me, I have a question. Why is it that this submission is going one way? Or why is this? It's like, no, we don't question. And then now, when people, the other thing was like, everyone's like, this book was written over 2,000 years ago. I'm like, but the society we live in now and the society of 2,000 years ago is so different. So why am I going to live why should I live my life based off of a book that was written for a completely different type of setting? So
for
now
a very different lifetime.
So I was just like,
like, you want us to die for this? Because that's what you're called upon to do. Because when they talk about salvation, what is salvation? What is the essence of salvation? It's like you're dying to a self in you that is not approved of, that is sinful, that is not loved, that is shameful,
that needs to be hidden.
Another one can be birthed. While I agree with that premise of death, because I honestly believe in spirituality, for you to adapt to the next thing, you have to die.
A death of self.
There's a death of self.
And it's like, it's more of like, because the self also comes in different forms. So it's like the death of the ego.
The death of the ego.
I think the death of the ego is what helps you elevate. It helps you
get to the next level of your consciousness. Like your once you get it, it's like you get it out of the way so that you open your mind and your consciousness up to more evolving and expansion.
Yes.
Yeah, but now for this particular version, you're dying so that another, I don't know, it's salvation.
It's
salvation.
like
It's twist. Okay,
yeah,
it's
I get
twisted.
it. I get what you mean, because at least with the other, it's like you're not dying yourself. It's like you're just trying to get closer to your truest form of you.
Yes.
Through the human experience.
Exactly.
But with this other one, it's like you have to kill every part of you that is not considered acceptable.
Yeah. And you're not doing shadow work. It's not. It's like a shortcut. It's like instead of being taught what true consciousness is, because it's supposed to lead you to ultimately to divine love. It's supposed to lead you to your highest self, to yourself. And I believe your highest self is most connected to your creator.
Yes.
But this other version, it's a shortcut. Just salvation. This blood will help you to do this.
Yeah.
There's no shadow work involved. You don't question anything.
Yeah.
And above all, you don't even question yourself. You don't question your actions, and you just validate this institution. Yes, because it's an institution, and it's deeply entrenched in capitalism. It's entrenched in colonialism. It's entrenched in world systems
hierarchy
and hierarchy.
Yeah, because in this case, the hierarchy is like the hierarchy of race, the hierarchy of men and gender, the hierarchy. So there's
endless. It's endless.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and the fact that you're not allowed to explore, for me, I stopped feeling like the message was authentic. Like at that point in time, when I was now getting into proper adulthood and motherhood and relationships, there was a lot that was breaking me down. And I turned to the church to find solutions. Like I would even go, stand, get prayed for. Nothing was getting resolved. Then the message just stopped being authentic. And that's where I just shut down.
I think for me also, at that point, the other thing I noticed the most was whenever the congregants needed help, they were told to pray. But whenever the pastor needed a new car, he couldn't pray for it. We had to changa money.
Wow.
So
interesting.
Yeah, because it was so weird. You're told, the pastor's birthday is coming up and the car he's been driving. Because I remember that story very well, because we even had to do a play in church to help raise more money so that he could get a Prado.
And it's not raising more money for the congregants who have, difficult
people
financial situations.
No, for people who are sleeping hungry, no. People who are in hospital, no.
But if you give to this particular person, then you've given to... It's twisted.
Very.
It's twisted.
And then it was always like, I didn't see the sense of community in that space as much as it was meant to be a community. Because constantly you're raising money to do things, to build a bigger church, to do this. And then whenever like someone has an issue, it's like, we can plan a harambe. And then most of the people won't even show up. And then also it depends, harambe ni ya nani? Is it like a church elder or just like someone random in the church? Exactly. So there were those things. And for me, I kept wondering, you see people who have come back home, someone is in church on a random whatever because they've been kicked out of school because of school fees, but we're raising money to buy someone who we bought a car 2 years ago, a new car. It doesn't make sense. But
the one for school fees?
And their school fees is a lot less than the car.
Pray.
But you're told, we're praying for you, continue praying, continue believing. So I was like, why is it that the prayers that are meant to work for us don't work for you, but us we're supposed to believe they work for us? Because even if you want a new car, pray, darling. Pray. But why is it the solution, that solution is only for us? So it was, I was looking at that and I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. And slowly I just started detaching. I was just like, I also feel like Christians are so overbearing. They have no boundaries. Because why am I in a bus and you decide to stand up and you just want to preach, and then when I won't give you sadaka, you're looking at me badly. I did not ask you to be here. I was commuting from point A, point B. You're interrupting my music listening journey. You're interrupting my book reading. And the fact that I don't see other religions doing that. Why are they so comfortable interrupting people's peace and people's spaces and just centering themselves in other people's lives when people are just going about their day.
Yeah.
You will be walking down the street and there's someone just there with a kengero shouting and saying, Jesus this and going to hell and da 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 da.
Yeah.
I'm like...
There's an entitlement.
Yes.
And then right now, and I'll just say it as it is, with the current political dispensation, it's becoming worse.
Yes.
Because I feel that how Christianity or any religious beliefs are being twisted. It's probably similar to what colonialists did.
Yes.
You're busy being preached to over here while your land is going somewhere else. And I feel that's exactly what we are seeing now. It's being used as a distraction.
Yes.
When we're focused on you acting all Christian and we're believing that you're good and that your goodness comes from
and
this
we're wondering
belief,
why you're holding all these dinners and
we're not
lunches
seeing
and whatever.
what is in the background. It's
they hold the
unfortunate.
prayers.
Yes.
As the 2 billion is being taken.
Yes.
Is being put in an account or in a gunia.
Hey.
Whichever you prefer.
Yeah. It's a shame.
Yeah.
And religion becomes a problem or becomes problematic because of that, because of the systems, because it's like
it's being used as a pawn to...
It's a systemic attempt, actually, and it's actually very successful to distract us from matters which we should be looking into, which is what you're looking into yourself, and that's religion teaches you to look outside. And the solutions are you are it,
which now tell us more about that.
I was just reading a book the other day. I think it's Wallace D. I'll remember. And there's one particular statement that really caught my spirit, kabisa.
Yeah.
This is a thought universe.
Yes.
This is a thought universe that before you can see it, it happens in the subconscious. Yeah. So that is how everything is created. It's that building before you can build it. What do you think of first? You think, okay, I have a vision that I want my building like this. And then you get down, it's on paper, drafted, you have the blueprint. And then for it to become everything, right?
Yes.
Even for us, somebody must have thought, I want a child. Yes. Yep. And we all know how that business got done.
Not necessarily want some of them are just like doing other things.
Well,
they were like, I want a good time. And then bonus, Muthoni.
Then they're like, okay, let's roll with
like
this.
She's here now.
Let's
now
roll.
what do we do?
Yes, but that's what has impressed me about my spiritual journey. True. That I am responsible for creating. I'm a co-creator.
We're all a part. Yes, right? We're all a part of.
Yes.
Like the world that exists right now.
Exactly.
Is because of all the thoughts that have happened before.
Exactly.
And are happening.
Yes.
So the world that's to come.
Yes.
Is being created by all the thoughts that we're having now. Because the idea of, I should be the one writing about stories of joy. So if I publish a book, an actual physical book.
There you are.
It started from, where can I read stories about women's
and
joy?
That was planted, and it becomes, we become. And that's the process. And the reason I was saying I have a dilemma in my journey is because when you look at these spiritual books, they hold certain pertinent truths, when like I'm more familiar with the Bible.
Yes.
So that's what I'll refer to. It's not, saying anything against the other beliefs or books that
it's the one that you at least
that's what I've studied.
You've studied for.
Again, I'm not claiming to be an expert in any of these things. I'm just
it's the one that you've spent some time with.
Exactly. I've spent time with. We are always emphasized to that we are an image of God, right? Yes. And if I'm an image of God, which means I have God in me.
Yes.
Because for me to be his image, it means I am a part of him.
Yeah.
And therefore the next person, and the next person. So if this God, and if let me just say, according to the Bible, if God is miraculous, can do A, B, C, D, then it means even I can because I have a piece of that. And I believe that's what Christ came to show us. And Christ was not a Christian, and he was not discriminative. I honestly, those were some of my favorite books whenever I would get down to reading, because I felt what he was about.
It was about people learning the truth.
Exactly, learning the truth and empowering us not to look outside for solutions. Religion, for the most part, espouses the need for you to have a figure to refer to.
Yes.
Well, that is important for inspiration. The real work is inside, because you alone can tell how you are, how you view things, how you view life, and how well that has done for you.
Yes.
At the same time, I appreciate that in this journey, there's still the need for a Christ's consciousness, you know. And when I say Christ, it's not necessarily hanging on to the premise of Christianity. Yes, but rather how he taught and what he taught.
It's like
and
that
what
whole being Christ-like.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and having that conscience, you know, because I always feel even if he was meek, even if he was, but he wasn't exactly humble. I don't think. By the time you're standing in a temple and you're like, I am the Son of God, and also like he went for it. He was fierce. He was bold. He was truthful.
Yes.
He was so inviting. For me, I feel that I am attracted to that spirit.
Yes, because when people wouldn't sit with prostitutes, he was like, come through. So I feel like, I get what you mean.
And he would call out the bullshit. Like, you guys, you're Pharisees. So,
So do you feel that then the issue is not necessarily the message? It's in the way it's packaged and delivered.
It is in the way it is packaged, delivered, but there's also an issue with the message.
Okay.
Because we look at the Bible on face value.
Yes.
The Bible has rituals. Like I've seen people practicing 1 or 2 or 3 things here and there. Let me put it that way. And they'll refer to the Psalms. So it got me thinking, we don't see the power of the Bible for what it is.
Yes.
They're not just a bunch of words. We can disagree on how it came about, how it was pieced together, but I feel it is one of the most powerful spiritual books. It is not a religious book.
Yeah.
It is a spiritual book.
Okay.
And at the same time, there are so many books that have been authored that also can lead you to a realization that would help to elevate your thinking and evolve and bring you closer to a higher consciousness, or to practicing towards a higher consciousness.
I feel like also the other thing that now for me that I always feel like, you know, the problem is the age we're living in right now. There's like so much information out there. And as much as like there's all the really good, cool, fun information,
new age,
there's there's all
I
that.
hate those stamps, by the way. I totally hate those stamps.
There's also now that whole being able to
balance,
not even balance, to pick out the good stuff, to pick out
know what you're working with.
Because also like sometimes there's things that again we can do so much that it leans towards like the doctrine type thing.
So you get back into practicing.
It's like the same things you're trying to walk away from, you know, like that the ritualistic, you have to be in church on Sunday, whether you're a sinner or not, like no one cares. If you go to church on Sunday, that makes you a good Christian. If you give in church, that makes you a good Christian. But then on this other side, it's like if I don't meditate every day, does that make me a bad person? How much do I meditate? Can I meditate? Do I know how to get in touch with my within? And then also there's that part of like, if I don't do it and if I do it and don't feel the same way as this other person who's explaining, you will now feel a warm feeling in your heart. Now it's like, have I failed? Do I not know how to do these things? So I feel like there's also, as much as like we want to learn about new stuff and we're trying to get in touch with new things, there's so much information. And then you find yourself now stuck in that place of now just trying to analyze all this info you have to be like, okay, cool. So what do I want to pick on? What makes sense to me? does this work? Does this not? And then sometimes it's like maybe you don't give things enough chance to actualize because you're like, today I tried, it's like, it's my first time trying to meditate and just observe my thoughts. And then I'm like, I meditated. Or I was manifesting. Yeah. Where is my car?
Where I've been manifesting.
So, and then, because also sometimes I feel like some of this, it's just like different terms that mean the same thing.
Yes.
Because for me, I think manifesting is the same as prayer.
Having faith.
Yeah, because it all comes from,
power of assumption from the same is really faith.
Exactly. It stems from it's like the same principle.
Yeah.
But a different name.
Yes.
So how do you as a person, like, because we're told, have discernment, but how do you pick out, even like a book, do you go like, do I trust my gut? Do I trust my intuition? There's all these different teachings right now. There's, for instance, like I had my first cacao ceremony.
Yes.
And it was quite an experience because
more about that. What
it was a plant ceremony. So cacao is they call it a heart opening plant. Yeah. And so I've been doing some sessions with a friend of mine who's a sound healer.
Yes.
And we've been doing some sound healing journeys, some sound journeys to try and release traumas that I have stored in my body, or like blocks that I have within my chakras and my energy centers.
Yes.
Because one and the same thing.
Yeah.
And while we were doing that, the one thing she said is she felt that I'm very open.
Yeah.
My energy centers are very open, but my heart is not. And I was like, yeah, I know. Because I closed it. Yes. It is closed for business.
Yes.
So, and then it just coincided with this cacao ceremony that was happening. And she was like, let me invite you for this.
Yeah.
Because I was telling her, like, I feel like I want to open up my heart. I don't know how to go about it.
Yeah.
I am scared to do it because I'm like, sometimes I'm like, and then I get heartbroken again, and then I get betrayed again, and then you're like, watch I can't.
We are not doing that. We are not going
down that road.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So when we went for this ceremony, it's like it for me, what happened or what I experienced was because we did a meditation, we were taking a sound journey, and we drank the cacao.
Okay.
And with that, for me, what I felt was like, at first you feel like, it wasn't like warmth.
Yes.
But my body felt so light. It's like, like all the thoughts that were running in your head, suddenly they're not.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I was just feeling my body and nothing else.
Yes.
I wasn't, like, it's so hard to explain sometimes.
Yes.
But like in that moment after we drank that, because we did that, and then we did like another meditation with a sound journey. And for me, because for that it was a heart opening thing, it's like you take a journey. For me it was like you have to take a journey into your heart.
Yes.
And when we took that journey, for me, what it opened to me was when I went in there, all I saw was like a young Muthoni that needed a hug. Like, because my inner child just needed a hug. And when I tell you, when I hugged that girl, I cried. Like, and it wasn't like tears, it was just flowing. And you're just like, I can't stop this. I don't know what's happening. And at the end of the ceremony, when we finished, I was just like, I felt so light.
Yes.
And again, I come back home. What happens? I start writing. Suddenly I'm inspired. Like, stories are flowing. I'm like, oh, this is an idea. Now, even like this morning, I came up with an idea for another short story.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So I don't know if the short story is because my heart is open or not. But for me,
chances are
there was a release that happened within my actual physical body when we did that ceremony.
Okay.
And I would want to do another one because I don't think one would be enough. Heart wounds, tumechoma roho. But like, for me now, like having direction like that, because my friend is someone who has studied and it's something that she's always had an interest in, and she's also really grown. And even when I had like the sound healing journey with her, like the first one, we talked and we were able to really get down to certain beliefs that I have and where they stemmed from. And even from after that, when because we ended up like doing this really cool meditation session. Yeah. When I came back home, certain things I would start remembering things that I never used
blocked.
I had blocked off. Yeah. And then I'm like, I now know where this started from. Yes. Where you're like, the first time it happened was this and this. Yeah. And since then it's been a repeating pattern. Yeah. And you're like,
a light bulb.
Hey. Yeah. So when you're talking about like that journey within and going within, I think it's so important because you find that maybe these blocks are happening because your inner child is just trying to protect you, or something happened to you when you were a child and you are stuck there. Yeah. One thing happens and you're stuck in that space because trauma can do that to you.
It can.
Trauma does do that to you, where you can literally be stuck. So I've been having sessions, I think that's what we can call them. Yes. Sound healing sessions with my friend. Yeah. And it's like where basically it's like, because it reminded me of a video I saw today. Yeah. Where like sound can change your like.
It does.
Sound can do things for your body. Yes. When people tell you there's frequencies that affect the way your body moves, the way you feel, your mood, excitement, and stuff like that. Even like there's sounds you can listen to that can make you sick. Yes. So with a sound healing journey, it's basically making sounds that would help heal your body, release things. So for me, it was more about the release and opening up my energy centers. Yeah. So that was the journey that I took. And even that, like when we were done, even I was just like, oh my God, I feel so light. Yeah. And she was like, yeah, I can. You feel very different from when you.
Like you came in, change in your aura.
Yes. Yeah. So I've been doing that. For me, I'm trying to go within. Yeah. I am trying to. There's someone who said they don't like the word heal because it implies there's something wrong with you. Mm-hmm. But for me, I don't think heal means there's something wrong with you. Yeah. For me, I think heal means that there's some damage that has happened to you, and you acknowledge that you'll be left with a scar, but what you're doing is, for you to get to the scar, the wound has to heal.
Yes, it has.
So you're wounded. You're not, there's nothing wrong with you. You're wounded. And when you're wounded, you
such
heal.
An important and soft process.
Yes.
I love the word heal. This implies that you're doing something that is beautiful, kind to yourself. Yes. After you've gone through maybe this process that was traumatic, that there's kindness after that.
You've said it so well. Exactly. Because when I had that, I was like, nah. There's
we are getting into toxic positivity
because I was just like, don't use the word heal. And they were talking in regards to relationships, so people were like, I am healing and working on myself before like I get into a relationship. And then just like, no, what you have is that you don't have standards. But I was like, you can be wounded and still have standards. You can be not wounded and have no standards.
Yes, exactly.
You can be wounded and not have standards. So for me, I was just like, those are not a replacement. Like they're not interchangeable. Because for me, I'm like, healing happens where there's a wound. Because if there was no wound, there's nothing to heal. And also for me, healing means you'll be left with a scar. You'll be left with a mark. But that mark is just, it shows that you went through something and came out the other side.
Which is what life is about.
Exactly.
For me, it shows that there's willingness to evolve. The fact that you actually recognize something happened, and it's not a failure, it's a lesson. We're here gathering lessons. We're not here not sinning. And I mean, I agree. I agree with up to a certain extent, that there is sin in that when you do something against yourself, you know, when you lie, when you do something to someone else, it's actually also something against harmful. Yourself. You know, we always think, I've slapped that person or I've done something to that person, but you're also doing it to yourself. Yeah, because it goes both ways. It affects both of you. Yes. So before we even get to that level of a deity that we've considered a deity somewhere else, it starts with us, right? If I'm doing something to you, would I want to do that to myself? You know, do I love myself the way I want to? Do I love you the way I love myself? And for most of us, if we've noticed, we don't love ourselves. So
we start out there. Yeah. Because I think that's the thing that I've learned over the past like 2 years is that when I say I have so much love to give, that I'm like, I should also give myself that much love.
Exactly.
Because it's not that I don't love myself. Yes. It's I do, but I don't show myself love.
You don't, exactly.
So, because there's again, language is such an interesting thing. Yeah. Because there's loving yourself, there's being in love with yourself, there's showing yourself love.
Yes.
Those are 3 different things.
Yeah. And then also even knowing how to love yourself.
Yes. Because you can give love, you can love people, but you don't do that for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, when it comes to healing, it's about that. Yeah. And why I think for me, my journey has been so much about learning myself. Yeah. Because in learning myself, then I know how I would receive those things.
Yes. And you even know how to give. Because you can't give something that you don't have. If you're running on empty, then what are you
offering? Yeah. So tell us about Heal and Chill, now that we're talking about healing.
Yes. Yeah. Heal and Chill was born out of the idea that there's a community that wants to meet, that wants to get together to talk about what we're talking about, just in a different setting. Yeah. It's an alternative to your mainstream events, you know, want to sit and chill and heal and talk about everything that premises our consciousness, us moving towards a higher consciousness. Yeah. It's not a church, it's not a religion. It is a space for healing conversations. It's a space for stimulating conversations, for activities such as sound healing,
which I would recommend. Exactly, if you can, right? I have gone through that, and I would definitely recommend.
And it's beautiful, right?
Yes,
exactly. Yeah, so that's what the event is about. It's about having activities that are, again, not your mainstream activities
that are more internal than external,
and you get to share
because like a Boom 12 event is more external, but with this it's like you get forced to go inwards.
Exactly. You choose to go inwards, you choose to participate, and you choose to do something that you will feel has a very positive impact towards you evolving. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with a Boom 12 event. We need those. We also go for Boom 12.
We're going for it's like after Heal and Chill, and the next day we are Boom 12.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's just that need to have a space where an alternative way of chilling is encouraged, and you come in and share in those moments and share in that space. There's music as well, you know. There's someone will be coming in to do hina, and it's sort of
like the drawing. I've always wanted. Yes. Sometimes I've always been like, I think my skin is too dark. Yeah. For the artwork to be like artworking.
Yeah, but it works.
I don't know. Yeah? I don't know.
Colors, right?
Yeah. Hina. Yes, we will see if we can get maybe here.
Yes, why not? However, we'll get it done. We will get it done.
Yes.
Yeah, but basically that's what the event is about. It's fun. Like it is, about us evolving. It is deep when it wants to be deep. It is fun. It is about us being together, and it's accessible, that's for me, that's the best part, because sometimes these events will happen for the conscious community in Nairobi, in Kenya, but you don't get to hear about it as much. So this is open. Come, join us, share. If you want to partner with us, why not? Reach out to me. Yes. And we can talk more about it.
Oh, yeah. Gosh, I'm going to be there.
Yeah. Yes, she has to be there.
Because I've been talking about my journey with healing and everything. So I would love to be there.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
It sounds like the space I'm currently in right now.
Yeah.
And in alignment.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
With the work that I'm doing on myself
Yeah.
at this moment. And if you're someone who's always been curious about maybe where to start with these journeys and you don't know, because even like when I say sound healing, you're like, where does that happen? What does that look like? Maybe you can come for the event, and again, there you can meet people. Are you gonna have like tarot readers and such?
Yes, we will. We will.
Oh, yeah, like something like because
Yes.
something like that. Because sometimes I think accessibility is the issue. It's like someone's like, we'll see it. You on TikTok, you'll be but everyone you're seeing is foreign.
Yes,
they're not. In your vicinity. It's not someone if you want to have a one-on-one
session. It's not like a you and me type of feeling.
It's like it won't feel so nice over Zoom. Like I want nikilia unishike mkono tafadhali. I want you to tap me and be like, it's okay. This is a safe space.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I love that.
Yeah.
All the details to the event definitely in the description box. Please come join us. I think it's going to be a beautiful, wonderful afternoon. Come, we heal together. You know, because then also you get access to other people and also validation.
Exactly.
Knowing that, by the way, this journey, you're not on it by yourself.
You're not alone.
And even when you're like, hey.
Yes. We'll have amazing speakers on board. There's a mindset coach.
Ooh,
And then there's the person who will be taking us through Kriya yoga and meditation. So it's going to be exciting.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
I look forward to it. The event is happening on the 29th of October. It is happening. It's in Nairobi. So if you're not in Nairobi and you want to come, plan around those dates.
Plan. It's at 2 Grapes, Wine and Friends.
How much are tickets?
2,000 only.
2,000 shillings only. And the venue is 2 Grapes, Wine and Friends.
Yes.
I hope to see you there. And I look forward to having an amazing healing session.
Yes, absolutely.
Shared with community, with you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes. You're welcome.
This has been amazing.
I hope you
it's
had
an
amazing time. And I always love having conversations with you because we talk. We have conversations for days.
But they come and see ati tulikuwa tumalize. I think we have just
muda. Ni muda.
It's time.
Muda ni muchache.
Muda.
Mambo ni mengi.
Mambo ni mengi kabisa.
Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for being a part of this episode. Remember to check out our social media and of course our segments on Monday because why not?
Absolutely.
Yes. We have some really cool segments that drop every single Monday on our YouTube page where we do reaction videos, and we do that with the guests, and sometimes I do that by myself. And that's it from us for today, and we will see you back here in the next episode. Thank you so much. The next episode is episode 10. We finally get to double digits.
Yay! Congratulations.
See you in episode 10. Yes, hopefully we'll have like a surprise guest of I don't know whatever, but hopefully sija make promise.
Ndio hiyo.
Fingers crossed. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.